Hello, hello, and welcome to Shatter Our Souls with Novaria. Now, today we are going to be finishing off, or, well, not finishing off. We're going through the second part of Blacklist number 2 Bulls Challenges. Starting, of course, with the point-to-point races, that being the sprint, the toll booth time trials, and the speed trap races, so that we can reach the end of the challenge in a relatively quick fashion. So, with the drag race already completed, we're on to the first of the toll booth time trials. Now, I've said it a few times, I'll say it again. The toll booth time trials initially are the harder variants of sprint races. Your goal being to have the highest top speed through a number of checkpoints throughout the race doesn't exactly make it easy to get from A to B with ease. There's more to the challenge than just getting to the end. You could be the first one to the end, but have low speed through each of the varying checkpoints, and effectively fail the challenge as a result of that. I think it's Fersen has fallen behind due to running into a wall. So I guess that's one less challenger for this race temporarily. The other two seem to be doing okay. That was a bad idea. Running straight into a wall is never a good plan when handling a race. The AI of these also changes from between what a standard point-to-point race and the toll booth time trial would be. Their AI is actually significantly stronger as far as base goes. Generally, the way to succeed in this is simply to outpace your opponent through each of the toll booths. But the chances of beating your opponent to the end of the race are significantly lower than in a sprint race, just as a result of the AI's differences. I think this is something that a lot of players and a lot of game designers don't really realize, is that there are numerous tweaks to how the AI is meant to function in or across mediums. If you look at Need for Speed Most Wanted, you have the AI of the various races, including drag races, sprint races, toll booth time trials. Sorry, not time trials. There is no AI in those. The uh, the speed trap races, the lap knockouts, circuit races, etc. AI reacts very differently in every single one of these circumstances. But it goes so much far beyond that because the AI also changes for the police, depending on whether or not you are in or out of a race. With sometimes them focusing in on your opponents, sometimes they focus in on you. Sometimes your opponents catch all the heat and you can get out of there scot-free. It's one of those things that I don't think gets noticed enough, because in the heat of the moment, who's going to pay attention to the exact whereabouts of the police on a track? And I think that's something that sets Most Wanted apart, is that the police in the races are not meant to be... They're more of a spectacle or a set piece than they are meant to increase the challenge. Albeit, they do increase the challenge of a race significantly. They're kind of just there. They act as a railroad system, a means of adding additional traffic to the race in a way that is more organic, more dug into the world itself. So for that, I give the police system of Most Wanted an A+. Um, so I suppose a little bit of information on Bull is probably the way to go. Blacklist number 2 Bull has the Mercedes-Benz SLR Mclaren, if my memory serves. Yeah, no, it's not the Porsche Cayman or the... Yeah, I'm now questioning myself. I'm going to stick with it's the McLaren. Regardless, the Mercedes-Benz McLaren that Bull has is kind of a 50-50 type of car. It is very specialized in one way and one way only, which is that the machine itself is designed for top speed. That is it. And a lot of times when a vehicle is built for top speed, the handling and the acceleration fall by the wayside. The McLaren is somewhat unique in that regard. It has the highest top speed in the game. And while that might be very notable, the highest top speed in the game only does so much. If he can't make a corner, he can't make a corner. His McLaren is designed with a decent amount of cornering and a decent acceleration. Yes, it is an IS 300. Thank you very much. But the fact of the matter behind it is the vehicle itself has a lot of potential and a lot of room for growth, but it does not have a lot of room for error. It's something that I noticed when messing around with the car at one time, was that getting the McLaren up to speed was the easy part. However, keeping it up to speed was the difficult part of the challenge. And so I think, assuming that I don't hit a wall like that again, that it's going to be a lot of similar nature stuff with Bull. That he's probably going to run into a car, a police vehicle, or something at some point through the races and is going to be unable to catch up. That is my hope, because the Lexus, for everything that it has done thus far in the challenge, doesn't have the top speed to match the McLaren in a standard race. This isn't to say it's impossible, but top speed to top speed, the Lexus will lose. The result is we need more of the handling, better acceleration, and a smidgen of luck. Speaking of the Lexus, I admit it. At this point, the Lexus is sitting at its absolute best that this car will ever be. And honestly, I'm pretty okay with that. It's done absolutely nothing that is out of the question. It's been holding its own on every single course. It's even completed every single photo radar ticket in the entire game up to this point. Thus, I believe it is time to say that it's possible. Given that Ronnie was defeated at all, if Bull falls, which, given how things are going so far, I think isn't too much of a stretch, the Lexus will be able to complete the entire game, start to finish, which is something that I admit I never expected to be possible. I think I just sent a guy flying sideways and into the police. I am so sorry to whoever that is. Your sacrifice will not be in vain. Anywho, first place on the last of the speed trap races, and on to the toll booth time trials. Now, there are 3 toll booth time trials in this tier of the challenge here. And it's about this point that I get to say a little bit of relaxation. At this point, just taking in the moment and the fact of how far this has come. The white Lexus that I had prior, or was running earlier, was the first car that I had in the game. Now, I made the bright pink purple Lexus as a little bit of a joke because, oh yeah, it's a hot pink Lexus to take down Jules. But it kind of stuck, and it being one of the vehicles I didn't use all too often in the later portions of the game, I think it kind of fits. It at least does the job properly. Um, but there were portions of the game where I had gotten kind of scared that this challenge wouldn't be possible. When you're looking at the footage back in the earlier parts of the game, Blacklist number 11, 10, all the way to about Blacklist number 8, I was having some really serious concerns about the well-being and the likelihood of success. And while I am somewhat still questioning whether or not I can hit the last couple of photo radar tickets and whatnot, the reality is that everything else up to that point I think is doable, including being able to beat Razor. And that's a really good feeling to have. You never know if it's possible until it's done. Or at least that's what I've been told well, by the backlogs actually. And so, knowing that, I think that this is a testament to the game design. I think that this really shows off just what the developers were aiming for. And I love to see that. The overall, having played through the game start to finish with the Lexus, I don't believe that it is the weakest car in the game. Not anymore, at least. I think that might go to something like the Cobalt SS, or one of the early game unlockable vehicles like the Renault Clio V6. But having not sat down and really dug into the cars and tried every single one of them, I have a feeling that they will have a little bit more room for error in later portions of the game. And who knows? I haven't actually built every single vehicle in the game. I don't know what every car is capable of. And I would be amiss to say that there are those out there who probably have done so. But I'm not really sure how each vehicle would relate to one another. I could say for certain that I believe the Porsche Carrera GT would probably have one of the best drag racing records. Same thing with the Mercedes-Benz SLR Mclaren. But aside from the pair of them, there's not a whole lot that you could really point at as saying, this car is going to be best in this situation. So, I think there's a lot to say about that. And a lot of room for differences of opinion as well. So let me know down in the comment what you believe to be the best car in the game, and which vehicles that you believe to be the weakest. I'd love to see it, and who knows, there might be one in there that I've never even considered using. There's always a little bit something to look into. Design-wise, I think the Cadillac is my least favorite. Like, just standalone vehicle, the Cadillac CTS-V is one of those cars that just never looks right to me. And it could just be a me problem. I don't know. But I believe that there is room, there's potential there, but it never really sits right for me. And I have never found the right build design-wise for it to be appealing. Whereas many of the vehicles like the Dodge Viper, the Ford GT, the Lotus Elise look amazing in various body kits. with various spoilers, etc., in various colors. So, who knows? Wait a minute. Didn't I not just break that? Yeah. Yep. Um, Once again, another statement of the construction crews in Rockport are absolutely phenomenal. I had one time I was driving through the bus station every single lap for 3 laps straight, and every time I went through the bus station, I shattered the glass again. So it took them less than 3 minutes to get a new sheet in there. It's like they're sitting off to the sidelines. Yep, there's a bunch of racers coming through. Let's go. All right, get the sheets of glass up. Wait, hold up. Vehicles drive by. Okay, hurry, get it on there. Rips the whole, or sets it up, gets it all built up, ready to go for the next lap. The crew walks off to the side. They get back in their vehicles just as the second lap runs by, smashes the glass again. They get out of their vehicle, slightly frustrated, but laughing nonetheless because they're making bank. Set everything back up again, and vehicles come back through a third time, shredding the glass. It's like, how fast do these guys work? And what are the odds of that happening 3 times in 3 laps? Being able to destroy the toll booths is honestly significantly more expensive because they have to be able to have every piece of that toll booth replaced in a certain span of time. Sometimes that's not that hard. You know, a new plastic lifting arm or whatnot. Sometimes it's a matter of a new front end for a Corvette police vehicle. And other times... Oh, no. Nope. Reset. Do not... Oh. Oh, I didn't get taken in. Huh. I think that's one of the first times that's ever happened. Cool. At least the first time that's happened to me in this. Another aspect of this that I don't think gets a whole lot of love is the physics engine. So the physics in this are very unique. Every single Corvette, every single vehicle has its own physics applied to it based on the vehicle's speed, its handling, its weight class, you name it. Every single vehicle in the game. There is not a single car that doesn't have something applied to it. Whether it is the massive Final Destination style trucks, or shipping containers, or whatnot. Everything is unique. If you get into a head-on collision with a shipping container truck, you are dealing with the fact that your main opponents, or you're dealing with the fact that it is stopping you flat in your tracks and will continue to move forward even though, most likely, the vehicle on the other, or that other vehicle is slammed on its brakes trying to prevent any further damage. The other side of it is the Final Destination trucks, where if you nick the side of it, you'll have the logs fall out of the vehicle and cause the police vehicles to stop nearby. Those guys are also incredibly potent and unique. The station wagons, the trucks, and every other vehicle in the game have some form of unique physics. But on top of every single vehicle having its own unique physics, there is also the fact that every single vehicle has its own unique physics on pavement, on sidewalks, on grass, in parking lots. Every single unique type of terrain in the city has something unique to offer for each individual vehicle. And while yes, most of the time it's just a tweak on what's going on around you, the fact of the matter that they have that level of detail-oriented, that they're that detail-oriented when making this game shows their dedication to shaving cream, apparently, because that's everywhere in this city. But the dedication of every single one of those developers shows through in the smallest details of this game. And I don't think I'm amiss to say that this is one of those games that has aged like fine wine. There are some games out there that don't age too well. I remember Monster Trucks Mayhem for the Nintendo 64 being an amazing game. And then coming back to it years later and thinking, what is this? Huh? What is going on? Um, so there's a little bit of that aspect in there as well. But this one aged phenomenally. And it's not something that can be said for very many games out there, especially ones of the newer generation. There are certain games that do incredibly well. There are certain games that nostalgia is what holds it up. Need for Speed Most Wanted does have some nostalgia factor for me. Nostalgia is powerful. But nostalgia is not what sells this game for me. This game stands on its own 2 feet just as a direct result of how it was put together, how well it functions, every single design option of the game itself. And while ironically I think there are fewer options in this than there are in Need for Speed Underground, there's still much to be said, or still a ton to be said, about how the game itself functions and how the game it puts the player first. So, I don't know. I might be looking into it a little bit, but the other side of the coin is the foundations that this game set up. Need for Speed Most Wanted set the foundations for what would be one of the greatest customization systems in any video game, bar none, in Need for Speed Carbon and its future series of Need for Speed Pro Street and the like. Now, I admit that I am going to be coming at this from the perspective of nostalgia, as well as lacking a lot of information on some of the later games that came out, some stuff like Forza and whatnot. But the auto sculpt feature of Need for Speed Carbon meant that you could very feasibly have a totally unique car that no other player on Earth had ever created. And that is something very, very special to say. That they had so much faith and so many options available to the player that they could very feasibly say that we have more options than any other game out there. At least at the time, and I think that's no stretch. But that's a little bit of rose-tinted glasses for me, because I know that I personally loved the autosculpt system and how each individual car had multitudes of options, thousands upon thousands of options that could be gained and manipulated through that. It's kind of my what in the... That is one very sturdy pole. That's my personal opinion on the customization system of the later games. Sorry, the next couple of games, because I don't know if it kept going after Pro Street. But Carbon and Pro Street, bar none, some of my favorite customization of vehicles ever. Is there a customization system that you found more robust? As that's another thing that could potentially come to mind. Anywho, we're coming in on the last 25% of the last race I'm doing today. So, if you like what you see, are curious, will this actually finish? Will this flamboyant pink car be able to finish the challenge off as strong as it began? Drop a like, leave a subscribe, drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear it. And honestly, welcome to Shatter Our Souls. With us nearing in on the end of Shatter Our Souls Need for Speed Most Wanted Lexus Challenge, leave something behind that you might want to see later on. I'd love to see it. Anywho, that's all for now. Be good to one another and have a good one.